Well, once again, I watched three things, although it was actually quite a bit more than I usually managed to cover. Let's see. First of all, I watched Dance in the Vampire Bund, and I thought it was a very interesting series. It kind of was incomplete, which was a bit disappointing. Incomplete meaning that it's pretty obvious by the end of it that they left a lot of room for story in either a sequel or they were covering only a portion of manga material or intending to continue in the manga. I don't really know, but I do know that either way, it ended that way. Uh, the DVDs were definitely uncensored. The most controversial part in particular being one I had actually heard of, and I was wondering if maybe it had been more controversial than that, but I guess not, which kind of surprised me because it didn't really seem all that bad, but then, you know, this was a point made on Mahoromatic. Who's the real perverted person? The person you think will do something perverted, or the person, or you for thinking they would do that perverted thing, or something like that? The basic idea being that it seems a lot of complaining about nothing. I really liked the way the series began, and as it progressed, I really liked a lot of the confusion it gave us. But basically, I can't go into more details without spoiling it too much, but I thought it was an enjoyable watch. Let's see. Then I watched Demon King Daimao. Now, to begin with, it definitely started out as a really good standard harem anime, where it basically had a lot of ideas in there. You know, it was just amusing enough to watch. Nothing too nothing completely unexpected per se. Just harem stuff. The things. Now I think it looked like its score was a little bit down, and I guess the thing that really did that is what happened in the second half of the anime. And I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure what happened, and that may be part of the problem with it, which isn't necessarily a bad problem. It just sort of started going crazy and doing stuff and not explaining stuff, and that may be intentional, or that could be any of a number of things, such as a strange adaptation of the manga version, or them realizing they would only get the one season to do all of it instead of 2 seasons or something like that. The story, I think, felt pretty complete, even though there's always an open-ended thread at the end for potential other adventures. But for the most part, it felt like it covered everything it needed to cover, even though I'm not exactly sure I understand what was happening at the end there. It went crazy fast. Another possibility is that I was just doing too much digging in Minecraft because, well, okay, I was taking my mob grinder and I want to either add more floors or turn it into a biofactory or something like that. So basically I dug the inside of it all the way down to bedrock, which might make that it's actually, I guess, my biggest structure ever, all the way to the bedrock down and all the way to the top of the screen, the top of the world. I've done that before, but not with structures as big as a mob grinder. Yeah. Oh well, I don't know, that was fun to do. Anyways, this Demon King Daimao, and then I finished up my anime watching before I went completely into Minecraft by watching Bleach. And I was watching Set 8, which was released however long ago. 3 months, maybe? That's a guess. And it had been a while since the individuals had been released because Viz stopped releasing the Bleach individuals. The interesting thing about this was basically that the first 2 episodes in Set 8 were on the last individual DVD they released, although there were some episodes on the individual DVD that weren't in the set. Which basically means that you can't really transition from one to the other in an efficient way, although if you're somebody like me who doesn't care, then it's not a problem going from the individuals to the sets like that. I briefly went over those 2 episodes to try and remember what had last happened. And I did. I knew exactly where in the story it was. And so after that, it went on to new material where... Well, I really liked the Soul Reaper Hollow stuff, so since this was a continuation of that story and not the ridiculously long bounce arc, I was enjoying myself. I can't think of any other way to say that, to put it. The most interesting thing is, since I just finished the last episode on the set a couple days ago, at the very end, they've introduced a character I've seen in images online that I've been curious about. And they introduced them right at the end, so I'm not quite sure what to think of them yet. Are they an important character? Are they a character that just shows up for one story arc, etc.? So, I'm very interested in watching Set 9. I'll probably actually try and watch an episode tonight to get that ball rolling. Maybe while editing for the videos. But anyways, I'm definitely enjoying that. Let's see. If I were to real quickly say what all 3 of those anime were about, because I'm trying to do that a bit while also linking to them in the description. Let's see. Dance of the Vampire Bun. The story is she's the queen of vampires. He doesn't remember a promise that he made to her. I guess that's probably enough. It's not quite what they established in the first episode, but the first episode was kind of interesting in the way it was set up. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to say too much more than that, because I think Queen of the Vampire is enough to know her position. Amnesia is enough to explain his. Demon King Daimao, the basic premise is that our main character transferred to a school. He has the goal of changing the world by becoming a high priest or something like that. But the magical device that predicts what people will get gives him the exact opposite role, that of the Demon King, which means he will destroy the world and bring it to ruin. Or something like that. Even though it's like completely the opposite of what he wants. Naturally, this causes a huge following of girls to begin forming around him. Harem anime. And Bleach. I've mentioned what Bleach was about. It's really hard to say what this set is about since it's so far into a really long-running series. But the basic idea is Ichigo is our main character. He's a human with a lot of spiritual energy. I guess they call it spiritual pressure, maybe? Or maybe that's just feeling the spirit energy. Man, I wish I could remember my terminology on that better. The basic idea is he can see a Soul Reaper, and because she gets injured maybe in a battle against a Hollow, which is a kind of hollowed out soul that wants to eat other souls. I think that's a very simple way of putting it. He becomes a temporary Soul Reaper by borrowing her power briefly, and because of his high spiritual energy, there's odd things about him as a Soul Reaper. Hold on. Soul Reaper is the English title, but they might have been Shinigami in the Japanese version, which are Japanese gods of death. I'm not entirely sure. This is another problem with watching only the dubs and maybe occasionally hearing something which suggests something different. Oh well. Anyways, that's what those 3 anime are about. I've also obviously been enjoying my time watching them. I usually don't... If I didn't like a series, I probably would say if I enjoyed the series but found some part of it confusing, I'd probably say that, like the confusingness with Demon King Daimyo. But man, anyways, that's anime analysis.